Welcome back, and now to the continuing series by Citizen TV journalist My Year. In the year 2025, newsrooms in the country had to grapple with one of the most horrifying discoveries in Nairobi city's suburbs, the sighting of decomposing bodies at a quarry in the south of the city. The discovery added to the developing news of femicide incidences, forcing journalists to stay alert while maintaining sensitivity to the issue. Citizen TV's Franklin Nwala was one of those assigned to pursue the story and shares his reflections in tonight's episode of My Year.
I received a phone call. The caller on the other side seemed a little bit disturbed. Then she began by sharing about some disturbing revelations of a discovery of multiple human bodies at a dump site within Quarry, that is in Pipeline area. I started by making a few phone calls to establish the truth of what she had shared. And my first contact was a CRIB officer, a Criminal Research and Intelligence Bureau officer, who indeed confirmed to me that there was a discovery of multiple human bodies at the dump site that was in Quarry. We immediately organized ourselves and we rushed to the scene. When we arrived at the scene, I can remember there was a crowd all over the place. There was a contingent of police officers, and we really had a difficult time to access the exact crime scene. It was a total mess. When we finally got to the exact crime scene where detectives had cordoned off, I can remember the smell welcoming us to that place. I really don't know how to describe it. There were sacks all over the place, the sacks that had been marked as exhibits. To me, these were suspected human bodies that were in those sacks. The police had labeled them like Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2, Exhibit 3. At that time, the divers on the other side, they were still struggling to retrieve and recover more suspected human bodies from the deep end of the quarry. So the divers really had a hard time recovering the bodies from the quarry and then transporting the bodies to where the police were now marking the bodies as exhibits.
This is fresh. Not long ago.
We were right at the center of that crime scene, just trying to confirm the exact number of the bodies that were being recovered and retrieved, to be sure we did not misreport or misinform the public.
Kizaazaa baina ya wenyeji hapa na maafisa wa polisi, wenyeji wakitaka baadhi ya mili ambayo imetolewa.
There was tension all over. There was a contingent of more officers from the General Service Unit who arrived at the scene to try and control the crowd. The youth were really charging at the police and even at journalists. There was little trust between the citizens and the government. The crowd was still charging towards the exact crime scene. They wanted to take away the bodies and disappear with them to a unknown place. They really didn't believe what the police were telling them. There was a little bit of doubt on what the media was reporting, because the information that was going all over the place was contradicting what the locals wanted to hear. This was a crime scene that I'd never encountered in my entire 10-year career as a crime journalist. And the situation that we were in, it was a little bit even compromising to our security. The crowd overpowered the security agencies and they accessed the crime scene and they took away some body bags. Their target was Quarry police station. They wanted to attack the police station, and at this time I was still receiving phone calls from the studio. They wanted me to go live.
Nyumangu chini maafisa kukabiliana na vurugu ambao wamefika hapa kujaribu kukabiliana na hali hii.
I did a small live link and we embarked back to the crime scene to continue gathering more information of what was happening.
So far tujatoa full body, ni body parts.
On the other side, my colleague Ode was at the city mortuary.
Tuko hapa katika makafani ya city na tumeweza kuleta miili miwili.
The second day we were still at the crime scene, and this is the time now when people were asking, why would someone do this? Who are these victims? Where is the suspect? What are the police saying? Many people had different versions of what had happened, and a good number of them believed the government had a hand in this.
The manner in which these people met their deaths must have been extremely excruciating.
Madam, kama si femicide issues, inamaanisha hizi ni forced disappearance zina happen na zinatoka juu.
You remember, this happened in the aftermath of the Gen Z protest when the Gen Z had attempted to take over parliament.
Hizi vitu kwa nini hatukuwa tumeziona kabla maandamano ya vijana?
People suspected that those who had been killed in that stampede that was at the parliament were the people whose bodies had been dumped in that quarry. The elephant in the room was the number. Everyone was reporting about different statistics. Police were having their own version. Social media users were posting their unconfirmed reports. On the third day, when we got to the crime scene, it was a trying moment for us. The moment we removed our equipment and they spotted us, the crowd started shouting, "Hawa ndio wale citizen walikuwa wanatudanganya jana." There was a police officer at least who I could easily identify, and he noticed me. So this is the officer who shielded us from the crowd, and he took us to that Redeemed Gospel Church, and we made contact with the office, and we were told to take care of ourselves and ensure our safety was guaranteed first before we could access that crime scene again.
Josephine alikuja kwangu, kaniambia dadangu, mbona mmeniacha kwa baridi hivyo? Nikamuuliza kwa nini na uko wapi, tunakutafuta.
The Dream family appeared. There was a lady who appeared and approached us. She said she was asleep. Their kin, who had been missing for quite some time, appeared to her in a dream. She saw the girl was at that dump site and she was in a sorry state.
Akasema dadangu, mbona mmeniacha kwa baridi? Mimi mnajua nakaa kwa maji na nimedungwa visu kwa mapaja na kwa shingo. Hiyo mto mahali niko, hiyo mtu iko natakataka hiyo mahali niko, munikujie pale.
It was this family actually that helped locals make that discovery.
Kulikuwa na ndoto ambayo iliwaelekeza pale.
We shifted our focus from that active crime scene and we took the direction of now how this was discovered. The entire exercise took at least a week. Other families started showing up, laying claim to some of the bodies which had been recovered.
Vile tulipeana maelezo vile alitoka kama amevaa, tukaletewa miili miwili kuconfirm. Kuangalia moja ikawa ni yeye, lakini tukawa tuna doubt, hatuko sure.
All the bodies were now at the city mortuary, and now the identification process began. Samples being collected from the victims and those families which had come forward to claim some of the bodies. After the results were out, it was now time for the autopsy.
Most of these bodies have levels of decomposition from mild to severe. So bodies which are severely decomposed, it becomes very, very difficult to assign a cause of death because there's what is called postmortem artifacts.
The results of some of the body parts which had been recovered were inconclusive because the body parts were just bones with little or no flesh.
They are part of the bodies. Find that they have been sawed off from the waist, so you find that they are lower limbs and upper limbs. And this sawing off, I think probably they are happening after death, whereby someone has been killed and then now is cut on the trunk.
As the investigation was still ongoing, police had mounted a search within Dandora. And when I arrived there, I found police had arrested someone who they had believed he was the mastermind behind these heinous acts. Police interrogated the suspect. The name of the suspect was Collins Jumaisi Halusha. He took detectives to a rented house just a few meters away from the quarry that is in Mkuru kwa Njenga. There were several exhibits that were recovered in that house. The following day in the morning, the director DCI did a press conference and announced to the public that they had made a huge breakthrough.
From our interrogation, all his victims have been murdered in the same style.
The director mentioned the suspect had confessed to have killed at least 42 women. The suspect was then arraigned at Makadara Law Courts.
Identified female victims are alleged to have been murdered by one Quarry.
The court was told how the phone trail and the forensic documentation led to the arrest of the suspect.
And therefore releasing him before the conclusion of this complex investigation will not only jeopardize crucial evidence, but also intimidate potential witnesses.
The court ordered for the suspect to be detained at Gigiri police station. A few days later, something strange happened. A police officer called me and told me that suspect had escaped from police custody. How he escaped from custody remained a puzzle. How was it possible for such a high-profile murder suspect to escape from lawful custody?
Haya mambo yote yako katika harakati ya uchunguzi.
To date, the suspect has never been found.
Huyu jamaa hakuna vile angepotea kwa seli ya polisi.
We continued demanding for answers.
The Kenyans have not yet been told what truly transpired at the Quarry dump site.
Our coverage went further to different counties where the victims were taken for burial. The families were left in agony.
Kupoteza mtoto kwa hali kama hiyo si jambo nzuri. Jukumu ya kulinda watoto ambao watu wawili hapa ni ngumu.
Sometimes nimelala kama nimeamuka nimeona tu mtoto wangu.
The aftermath of that coverage left me traumatized. It took me close to 3 months without eating meat. I had to undergo counseling sessions for a whole 2 months, and the fact that the suspect escaped from custody and the pain that the families of those victims do undergo, they keep on calling me and asking me, will we ever get justice? But unfortunately, I don't have the answers. The answer is with the state.
People can get lost in this country, you know. I am not sure whether he's still alive.
That was a story that will remain part and parcel of my career as a journalist. My name is Franklin Wala.